Today I will be discussing Lightner Witmer, who is considered to be the father of clinical psychology. Witmer was born on June 28, 1867 in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He was originally named David L. Witmer Jr. after his father, but when he was 50 years old, he changed it to Lightner Witmer for an unknown reason. He had two younger siblings named Albert and Evelyn. After a well-lived and successful life, Lightner Witmer passed away from heart failure on July 19, 1956 in Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania. The Witmers were very concerned with education and that their children received an adequate one. Lightner was enrolled at a dance school to learn proper etiquette as well as into one of America's top prep schools in 1880, the Episcopal Academy of Philadelphia. While he was enrolled at the academy, Witmer and two others were instructed to build a canoe by one of their teachers. While the other two boys argued about who would be able to finish their canoe first, Witmer was thinking, "I wish to finish last as I will learn from the others' mistakes and build the best canoe." This is an example of his own enthusiasm for knowledge. In 1884, he graduated from the academy at age 17 with honors. Witmer then enrolled at the University of Pennsylvania and was elected president of his class his first year attending. He graduated with a BA degree in 1888 with an outstanding record yet again. He was also offered a teaching position at Rugby Academy, which he accepted. After a year of teaching at Rugby Academy, Lightner enrolled in the philosophy department at the University of Pennsylvania's graduate school in 1889. He continued teaching during his first year of graduate school, but later stepped back from his position. Witmer originally wanted to study law and pursue political science while attending graduate school, but later switched to psychology. James Cattell, who was considered at the time the best trained psychologist, offered Lightner an assistantship, which he accepted. He worked with Cattell for a year before he left for another position. When Cattell left, Witmer decided to enroll at the University of Leipzig, where he was able to study under Wilhelm Wundt. In 1892, Lightner received his doctoral degree with great honors yet again, as well as the title Magister due to his mastery in psychology. His final dissertation was on the aesthetic volume on visual forms under Wundt's suggestion, though he would have much rather continued the research he worked on with Cattell. Witmer got married to Emma Repplier in 1904. It is believed that he met her when he was elected to the American Philosophical Society, as she was also involved in the association. Their marriage lasted 33 years before they decided to end things in 1937. There is no record of them having any children. Witmer was seen as assertive, passionate, charming, sensitive, forceful, and domineering throughout his career and personal life. Many people admired and respected him, though he is believed to be one of the least documented psychologists. After receiving his doctoral degree, Witmer returned to the University of Pennsylvania at the age of 25 and began teaching and conducting experimental research. He worked here for 45 years. He also became a charter member of the American Psychological Association, which was founded in 1892. In 1894, while Witmer was still teaching, another teacher brought him a 14-year-old student, Charles Gilman, who struggled with articulation. It is believed that Charles would now be diagnosed with dyslexia. Witmer came up with a systematic program that involved weekly visits to the clinic and almost daily instruction with Charles's teacher. In April of 1897, the systematic program was implemented only at the home of Charles Gilman. Though Charles's reading was never normal, he was marked as above average intelligence and was able to express himself well in spoken language. Lightner's approach helped him overcome some of the struggles he encountered and is believed to be a case that jump-started Witmer's career. Another case of a 7-year-old boy with what is now known as autism is also said to have helped jumpstart his career, though there is limited information regarding assessments and treatments of the young boy. In 1896, Lightner published an article called Practical Work in Psychology, as well as founded the first psychological clinic. In 1897, he presented the same article and coined the term psychological clinic for the first time. This eventually led him to be considered the founder of clinical psychology. He also had an article called The Organization of Practical Work in Psychology, which was published in the journal The Psychological Review. This was considered to be a pivotal moment in Witmer's career. In 1907, he published another article called Clinical Psychology in his own newly launched journal, Psychological Clinic, which continued publication up until 1935. Lightner Witmer opened his psychological clinic in 1896. He was mostly referred children, whom we would now consider adolescents. He emphasized the importance of observing and helping each child versus labeling them as feeble-minded or something of the sort. The children who were referred to Witmer had a plethora of deficits, including academic learning problems, speech problems, hyperactivity, anorexia, nervousness, and many more. He noted his skepticism of intelligence while conducting research on these children and refused to rely on them. Though he was skeptical, he had two of his own intelligence tests called the Witmer Form Board and Witmer Cylinders. He still incorporated intelligence tests, specifically the Binet scale, into his practice but preferred to use his own. When using intelligence tests, he still made sure to use his observations and knowledge of the environment the child was experiencing. At first, Witmer strongly agreed with the idea that deficits were due to heredity, but after years of experience in the clinic, he began to lean more toward the idea of environmental causes having a larger impact on deficits than heredity. Even though his views shifted strongly towards environmental causes impacting deficits, he still acknowledged that heredity holds some importance. In 1908, Witmer established a school that was geared toward troubled children so he could treat and care for them. Witmer began conducting research on children who seemed to have intellectual disabilities, but shortly after beginning his research, his interest expanded to normal and gifted children as well. A key theme he intertwined into his research was surpassionism, which is the view that individuals have the ability to surpass themselves. Surpassionism is also believed to be the starting point for the idea of self-actualization. In 1909, Witmer attended a performance that involved a trained chimpanzee. After this, he took a brief break in researching children and began conducting research on monkeys. Some of his studies conducted on monkeys included lighting a cigarette with a match, stringing beads, identifying the difference between hammers and screwdrivers, as well as the correct time to use them, and several others. In 1912, he left the University of Pennsylvania for Italy to study pedagogical methods. In 1917, he took another leave of absence from his work to work for Red Cross during World War I. In 1918, he returned to the University of Pennsylvania, but missed the formation of the American Association of Clinical Psychology. The 1920s were considered the beginning of the end of his career. He began cutting back on teaching and stopped publishing research altogether. Throughout the 1930s, Witmer paid tribute to the university, former students, and colleagues. He was also given a copy of Clinical Psychology, Studies in Honor of Lightner Witmer from the University of Pennsylvania. Lightner Witmer officially retired in 1937 and was awarded the honorary degree, Doctorus in Scientia. He held great importance in the development of clinical psychology, school psychology, and special education. Though few scholars would deny the origins of clinical psychology and its founder, most of Witmer's contributions to contemporary psychology are not based on the theoretical practice. It is his advocacy and institution building that still plays a role in this field. One of the reasons Witmer's approaches began to nosedive was due to the popularization and acceptance of the ideas of Sigmund Freud and Carl Jung. Freud's and Jung's ideas left little room for any other theoretical approaches. Another reason for the fall of Witmer's ideas was his complete opposition to Freudian theories, which may have led to many practitioners to avoid his approach, as the field of psychology was now dominated by psychoanalysis. Although his methods are not used exactly the same now as they were by him, he still provided some major contributions and ideas that are becoming more popular again. An example is the multidisciplinary levels he implemented into his assessments and treatments. Lightner Witmer had a great impact on special education, school psychology, and most of all, clinical psychology, which is why he is now known as the father of clinical psychology.